College basketball fans, welcome back to the College Ball Show. He's Marshall, I'm Chris, and we're here to discuss what else? March frickin' madness. We are here, finally. It's been 2 years. Some random number is trying to call me right now. It's like, leave me alone, dude. I'm doing a show. Okay, anyway. It's hard to believe, but it's been 2 years since we've had the brackets, right? Obviously, last week we did make it through the conference finals, or the conference tournaments in general, and we didn't even get there last year. So it is kind of funky. It's been 2 full years. Doesn't really feel like it. Feels like it just kind of, went by really quickly. Right now, last year we would have been talking about, the greatest teams, blah, blah, blah. We did so many different specials when it came to college basketball. It was fun. It was really fun doing it. Don't get me wrong, and we appreciate the listens, but, we all want to see the live basketball. There's plenty of time to watch some old school college basketball and talk about memories and whatnot like that. Obviously, we usually talk about how, we need a 30 for 30 just on the Big East tournament games alone. And generally speaking, that Friday and Saturday of the Big East back in the day, and it's not even that long ago, really, when I say back in the day, but the moments in those, like ACC and Big Ten and all that, there's been plenty of great moments in those tournaments, but there is just nothing that replaces that Big East tournament semifinal and final, or just the, Syracuse making the 5 in a row, UConn making a run, yada, yada, yada. So it is very, very nice. And I'm so appreciative of it even more this year because it got stripped away from us last year. So we are back to talk all about the brackets, who got in, who didn't. I don't really think there's just this crazy debate for, oh my God, how could you ever leave this team out, or like 3 of them. I've seen some media folks head that way, and it's like, I hear you, but I'm not going to I don't know. This is just a weird year. Obviously, we, on a nightly basis throughout the regular season, we had, well, even the conference, beyond the regular season, we had cancellations, postponements. I mean, there's teams that dipped out of the tournament because they're like, well, we got a better chance to make the tournament next week if we don't play this game. So let's try to shut it down. Whoever tested positive for COVID, they gotta, unfortunately, we gotta separate them and whatnot. So a funky year. It's not perfect, obviously. I mean, it never is, but overall, we got some really, really big matchups. Now, there's a couple of things that stand out, whether it's how many Pac-12 teams should have been in there. Oklahoma State, why were they a 4th seed? And, okay, you're a 4th seed, cool. Why does Illinois have to go against them in that area? They just won the Big Ten title, the toughest conference in the league. So it's there are some funky things that we'll talk about, but on this show, we will pick the round of 62 and the round of 32. So at the end of this, we'll be into the Sweet 16. Then next week, obviously, with the recap and picking the Sweet 16 to Elite 8 and so on and so forth, right? So we're going to dig into this stuff in just a second. If this is your first time listening to the College Ball Show, welcome. It streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. You don't have to go to Blog Talk and Rope-A-Dope Radio if you don't want to. You can download the show there or listen to it in the browser. But if you want to, listen to it where you like to listen to it, that's cool too. This show here is under the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, Player FM, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, almost across the board. We're also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, which can be found almost anywhere. While you're at it, why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.com. It's basketball, football, baseball, boxing, everything in between. And one more thing, if you're thinking about cutting the cord or you're not quite happy, I got something for you. It's called AT&T TV. Now, AT&T TV and AT&T TV Now actually recently merged. So it's a little bit different, okay? There is new packages, though. There is new stuff to talk about. Of course, you can stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR. You do have a 7-day free trial. The plans start as low as $69 a month. And if you upgrade to the choice package right now, you get a free year of HBO Max plus the NBA package for the rest of the regular season. So that's something to think about there. It's called AT&T TV. You still need the internet and all that. It's just, like I said, the company, even though it has the same name, it's just a merger. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Marshall, and see how he's doing on this fine day. What's going on, Marshall? How the hell are you, buddy?
I'm pretty good, man. And this is just my personal self-reflection here of what's been the last year. But like today, like it was spring break for teaching, and I saw a bracket, and like no lie, this is like the kind of the most normal I think I've just felt in life in a long time. I mean, obviously, COVID's affected everyone in different ways. I've been really lucky and fortunate to not have any issues myself with health or family, but everything kind of feels a little more normal again because, hey, it's spring break, filling out a bracket, going to do a podcast with you, like excited just to camp out on the weekend and just watch basketball. Like it kind of is some normalcy again. And my dad's down here visiting. He's actually doing some pilot training classes, and we were going out this past weekend, and the bar was packed. So he's like, clearly people in Texas are feeling normal again too. So, I think depending on where you live, there's a little more excitement. People are trying to get back into their regular type of life. But yeah, it just feels good. And even if you have not been enjoying life as much lately with all the COVID stuff, at least you do if you're a sports fan. You get to enjoy a bunch of college basketball over the next handful of weeks. And even hell, the NIT is in Dallas too. So it's a lot of basketball in this state I live in. Yes, things feel normal again. The only different part, and this was actually kind of funny to me, but I was listening to my kind of Vegas morning sport podcast, and they said, I wonder how many people are going to walk into a casino on Thursday in Las Vegas, Chris, and expect to have games on with games to bet. Just because, there's a lot of people who become the college basketball diehard fans this time of the year who have always known it to be Thursday to Sunday. And this year, we're obviously opening days is Friday. I mean, unless you not count the playing games. We're going on Friday to Monday. But I bet there's going to be a lot of people that walk into a sports book in Vegas think, all right, dude, Thursday, today's the day. Let's watch some games. And you're going to get the 4 playing games at night, but that's not quite the 16 a man or woman may expect.
That is a good point, especially a casual fan, like you said. I mean, for sure, they're probably just like, oh, brackets. They're not even looking at the dates or anything. They're just filling them out. They're like, yeah, dope, dude. This is dope. Okay, yeah, great. That's a good point. I'm sure they'll get plenty of that. And it's not like you can't bet on them, but it's funny. True. That is funny. They're like, but they, like you said, they probably planned on that day watching it. And then they're going to go through the channels and be like, wait, what? What's this shit? They'll be looking at like noon going, where's the noon game on Thursday, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Or, even turning in your bracket. I'm so used to the by midnight on Wednesday. Midnight sure. Wednesday, or you're not in the thing. You know what I mean? And even that is a little funky. But, yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So before we get into mostly prediction, a little bit of preview, obviously, with some of these games anyway. Just looking at it, what are some of your really moments, where you're just like, how the hell they not just get into the tournament, but just in general, some of the first round games that stand out or whatever, anything like that. I know off air we talked about the Pac-12, and obviously Oklahoma State is one of them because the last chunk of, the last month and a half or so, they've been playing as good as anybody, and they finally did get over the hump against Baylor. Now, they did turn around and lose to Texas, sure, but maybe the 4th seed wouldn't bug me as much if it wasn't Illinois and Oklahoma State. So they're the number one. So you have 4 number 1 seeds. So they have to take on the hardest Sweet 16 matchup. That's the head scratcher to me.
Yeah, and I guess we'll do our one piece of house cleaning tidiness news, and that is, in case you haven't heard, every team has until Tuesday to drop out. I do hope that does not happen, but if by chance, and again, I know a team would not want to make that phone call, but you could see a bracket change on Tuesday. But once your team, I guess, goes to sleep Tuesday night, if you say you're in, you're good. And then the rules are, the NCAA said you have to have 5 guys on the court. So I hope that no team does get the COVID bug, and they really have a nice setup with how they're spaced on the hotels.
You have to have 5 guys on the roster, right?
Yeah, or 5 healthy players on the roster. So I hope it doesn't happen. But yes, if everyone is good to go by Tuesday, if COVID floods into your team and it knocks you out, that team would just simply be withdrawn, and then a team gets kind of an automatic bye, which can really mess up people's brackets and gambling and predictions. But so is COVID, or so is the COVID year. Sorry, because we did see that happen to where Virginia and Kansas both dropped out of their conference tournaments, and so did Duke. But again, Duke only had like a walk-on player get COVID, so it kind of So I don't think if a team has an equipment manager or a nobody get COVID, I don't think they're going to drop out. But that is the one thing where you got to have 5 healthy players on your roster, and you're good to go. So, but if someone does,
they have a list of 4 or 5 teams that are sitting there waiting.
Yeah, the first 4 out, I believe Louisville is the first team to get in. I think it goes Colorado State after. If by chance any teams do drop in the next, it'd be in the next 24 to 36 hours. So.
And then St. Louis and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Those are the ones chilling.
So I guess if you're one of those teams, you're kind of hoping for a COVID bug, which, again, that would be devastating to a team. But yeah, that's the one little piece of news. But yeah, okay. So gut reaction to the brackets. The NCAA hates me and my friends. That's what I'm going with this year. So I'm obviously a Tar Heels fan.
Do I got to get the violin out this early in the show?
Well, the NCAA they must know.
Wah, the Tar Heels. Wah.
I'm speaking of our group chat. It's not going to be a successful second weekend because my Tar Heels play my best friend's team, he's always been a Tar Heels fan and a Badger fan, so it's Tar Heel Badgers. And then a main guy from our March Madness trip, who obviously we're not going on this year, but next year we're in San Diego, is a Sooners fan, and I'm a Mizzou fan. So it's Oklahoma against Mizzou. So it's kind of just a small world that the teams that people I know, or the small world, just that, okay, well, Tar Heels and Badgers, one of them's got to go. And Mizzou and Oklahoma, one of them's got to go. And both of those teams got to play a 1 seed. So I think the teams I enjoy cheering for could be a very short-lived experiment. Or if one of those teams I cheer for wins, knocks off a 1 seed, then we have a pretty good story. But
sure.
Overall, I thought
all 4 deserve to be there, by the way.
Again, yeah, it's just unfortunate that they're playing each other and the seedings they had and all that stuff.
Sure.
Especially a month ago, if you'd have told me that Oklahoma and Mizzou are going to be an 8-9,
yeah, that's the ones
I would have heavily against it, because at that time Mizzou was the second in SEC, and Oklahoma at that point was one of the hottest teams in America, just because, well, I guess a month and a half ago, Oklahoma was the first team to beat Alabama in like 9 games. So both kind of finished the year sputtering. And again, I'm not disagreeing with the seeds they had, just kind of funny for the shit talk rights I'll have with the friends in my group. But overall, I thought the brackets were pretty solid. When I first initially saw it, Chris, I thought the Gonzaga's bracket was really loaded. And I think I made that judgment based off the caliber of top tier potential of teams that they could face. Now, it seems like many people are disagreeing with my statement, but I say it just because simply, okay, so Oklahoma and Mizzou, granted, that's not a tough 8-9, but those teams, Oklahoma at one point this year was a top 5 trending team in the country. Mizzou has shown on a regular game that they can play 25 minutes of great basketball. It's the other 15 that's scary. And you got Virginia and USC, who are two very talented teams, and Kansas and Iowa, who are very talented teams. So I would say that, hey, that is a very tough bracket for Gonzaga. Now, to counter my statement, you could say, Marshall, you're an idiot. Because
you don't think Kansas should be 3. Oklahoma and Missouri shit on themselves the last month and a half.
And Creighton, who at moments again were super hot. I think they're in a bit of a funk from their coaching statements that were made, and the team kind of got in a funk, and they got murdered by Georgetown. A Georgetown team who played their 4th game in 4th nights. You'd not known that because, dear Lord, they were down. Georgetown went on a 40-8 run in the Big East title game. So I guess just from the ceilings I've seen of these teams, I think that the Gonzaga bracket is loaded. But the counterpoints are the fact that Gonzaga literally played Iowa and Kansas and Virginia and smoked them all. So when I'm like, you know what, that Gonzaga bracket's pretty tough, a man could say, dude, look at the scoreboard.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, shit, maybe my point's not that valid. I would also say simply to the fact that if you put Gonzaga in any bracket, they're going to be the projected favorites come out of it, Chris. So I personally, my initial gut reaction was I think Gonzaga has a tough bracket. Some may disagree, but I just think if the teams I've just mentioned of a Kansas, Missouri, Virginia, USC, Iowa, like I think all those teams could give Gonzaga a tough run if they reach their potential. Now, I will say, I'll make this one point that I'll throw it back to you. This is one piece of news which could be difficult or bad news for Virginia, but good news for Gonzaga. Virginia's in a tough spot because due to the dropping out of the ACC tournament, they are not allowed to practice as a team until Thursday. They have to travel Friday night to Indianapolis and go to one of the various location college arenas and then play Saturday. So you're on a COVID hiatus. You get to practice Thursday, travel Friday, play Saturday against the team who's going to just be licking their chops in Ohio that, apparently I'm not going to speak like I'm a huge Ohio Bobcat knowledge fan, but they won their conference tournament. They have a good high-paced offense. They have a lot of momentum going, and simply they're practicing. Like, that is the one, dude, I think they're the only team that's really got a tough spot here, but, yeah, you're not practicing this whole week, Chris. And clearly Virginia has the potential to be a great team. That's a tough spot for them to walk into. And it makes that, I guess you could say it makes that Gonzaga bracket look easier per se than how my initial gut reaction saw it.
Yeah, I mean, that was what I was going to say too, the ironicness of them playing all those teams and beating them, and most of them soundly. I mean, the Oregon game was very tight, right? I think that what came down to the wire, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but yeah, and just off the last thing you said about Virginia, I'm staring that Creighton Virginia game in the eye now, and it's been tough for me during the day. I'm just like, man, God, I can see both of them. Like, I favor Virginia, but man, I just don't know with all that stuff. Now, my thing is they'll be able to get the rust off somewhat with a game at least, but still to not be able to do it's funky, dude. It is really funky, and you just don't know how people are going to respond. Now, it's not the longer break that they had during seasons,
Sure.
Not Virginia, but a lot of teams, and we saw almost every team struggle a little bit to get back there. Even a team like Baylor, basically just kind of snuck by against Iowa State and then turned around and lost to Kansas. Then they got their stuff together. But even when we say they got their stuff together, there was it doesn't seem like they're as defensively sharp either. Now, maybe that's the season coming down to the stretch. I don't know. But it doesn't seem like anyone's gone unscathed after those breaks. So I'm looking at that like, man, I just can't believe it. it's just like, I can't believe it, but I'm stuck on that matchup big time, dude. I'm really stuck up on that match. I just don't know what to think of it. But yeah, I mean, you can always make an argument for which 11 seed didn't get in, or that type of thing. But I really, and we have, don't get me wrong, VCU, we have seen these playing games go far, teams, so I can't sit there and, before, Marshall, we could say, well, yeah, but, it doesn't really matter. Well, it's been proven it matters. Now, does that continue to happen? We'll see, off of that. But anything else you want to talk about before we kind of dive into, the stuff here? We can actually start with that when you were just talking about the West, too.
Yeah, the only other thing that jumped out to me, Chris, was just the Pac-12 and the teams they got in. I think that for most of the season, very few teams in that conference were ranked, and their non-conference, from what I believe, was not really star-studded compared to like the teams we've spoken of so far in this podcast. So how did they get all the teams in that they had? I don't know. I will be looking to fade a majority of the Pac-12 teams just because you were in a weaker division or conference this whole year. I thought hands down the Big East basketball was a much more quality of a conference than the Pac-12. And even if you look at the rankings and ratings of these teams, and even the American Conference, I'd say the American Conference was pretty suitable to the Pac-12 this year. And you had a school like Memphis, who I think on neutral court would be a very close matchup on a Vegas spread, or a school like SMU would be a really similar matchup for a betting line. So I was a little surprised with the Pac-12 teams they got in, just because I think for resume, it's hard to get resume wins when people in your conference aren't ranked. So I'll be very curious to see if the Pac-12 teams can prove me wrong, or if a couple of them can make it to the next weekend. But that was my only other takeaway, was just the Pac-12. I thought there may be some of those teams were a little bit higher seeded, and just from watching them play throughout the year in a couple of games where I just watched them, like, dude, this is not quality basketball. And they snuck in a handful of teams. And also, it goes to show through their conference tournament, Oregon State was 100-1 to win the Pac-12 tournament.
I didn't know that.
God,
Holy
I wish
crap.
I
thought Georgia Tech was a big run, or Georgetown. Golly.
I would have paid off a good chunk of money. I would have had a really, really nice March. But yeah, and again, now I completely get that conference tournaments can be goofy. So I'm not saying it's the craziest thing in the world. But, prove me wrong, Pac-12, because right now I'm not a believer in you. And we'll go through these predictions here, and I'm obviously probably not going to be picking me them to go far. But the Pac-12 just kind of surprised me a bit, so we'll see how it plays out in the next 6 to 7 days here.
But at least we know now that the conference in basketball does exist, though, right? Because
True.
They did get teams in the tournament. Because it seems like the last couple of years that it's like, are we sure that they still play basketball there? They're still recruiting, we know that, but it just doesn't seem like they're playing basketball in that tournament. Now, watch, we've been ripping them, and they're going to slap us across our face, and hey, we'll take it. So let's start with the West. Now, I'm assuming you think Gonzaga is going to move on. Do we want to have a 14-minute debate on that, or no?
I do not see, what was it, the Loyola Maryland Bulldogs or Farriers? Yeah, I do not see.
And don't forget about Appalachia, dude.
Now, if it was Appalachian State versus Gonzaga in football, I would bet App State. I don't even know if Gonzaga has it. They might have a rec football team, but no, I think Gonzaga easily slides forward against whether it's App State or Norfolk. I believe people are betting App State. I think that game to open up even, and App State's now -2 or 3. So for what it's worth, if you want to risk it, I'm not going to, but if you want to risk a 16 seed playing game, people are going App State. So yeah, I think Gonzaga easily walks past App State.
So in the future, just say no or yes on that one, okay?
Touche. Fair enough.
Oklahoma, Mizzou. Like you said, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, this is like, dude, is this to go to the Elite Eight? That type of stuff. They're just trying to survive day one. What says you, fine sir?
I gotta go. I gotta back my Mizzou boys.
Hey,
It's the first time they've been in a tournament in 6 years. This could be the first time they could win a tournament game in a while. I can't go against the black and gold. I've always liked the school. I just don't talk about them much on our podcast because they normally don't make the tournament. But I will gladly take Mizzou. I think that they have a solid big. They have two solid guards. And I think, Chris, this is just simply a matchup of which team can have their January form. I think either of these teams, when they're on, could at least give Gonzaga a fight. But unfortunately, they've both been really cold down the stretch. So I'm just going to take Mizzou just because I love them. And I hope that they put together a 40-minute game because a lot of times when Missouri plays, they play great for 25 minutes. I have to buckle down and pray for the last 15. So I will take the Tigers.
Some of the experience levels, some of the clutch play. I'm going to Oklahoma Sooners to get to the second round and lose to Gonzaga. And actually, we'll save that. So yeah, I got Oklahoma. And by the way, for those who, a couple people messaged me about the question Marshall asked, and we'll close with that this show. The field, Gonzaga, Baylor, or the field. We will close with that. That's how we'll end. I don't want to forget that. I just had to kind of remind. Okay, so Creighton, clearly, they weren't. I remember you saying they weren't really that good, and I agreed, or not great. Let's say they were good, but and at times very good, but they weren't great until that one Villanova win where it was like, wow, they put it all together. And then it unraveled. and I still don't understand how that word that he used, the head coach, came into – I just don't get it. Maybe he'll blame it on blood sugar like that one ref that was doing the girls' basketball. Did you hear that?
Lord.
The ref? Maybe he'll blame it on blood sugar. Obviously, this wasn't as intense as that one. But the blood sugar thing is like, dude, then you can't do your job then. You're not fit to do your job physically, then if blood sugar is going to be an excuse for you dropping racist stuff. But I like them to advance here. Is this a 5-12 you're looking at, or should we move to and same with Virginia. Let's combo some of the stuff. Creighton, Virginia, are they going to meet in the round of 32, sir?
I'm going to say no. I think that with Virginia not being able to practice until Thursday, travel Friday and play Saturday. I think that puts them in a very tough spot just because that's a massive change. And again, they're a very talented team, a better offense than they're used to. But I'm going to take both of them and hope I hit one. I'm going to pick Ohio and Santa Barbara to win just because I think one of these two teams in the 4 or 5 is going to lose. So I will pick the 12. I will pick to be a 12 and a 13 matchup. Just because, Virginia's in a weird spot and Creighton, just since they had their comments made. And, I mean, you lose a game to a Georgetown team by almost 30 to 40 points.
Just smacked
who was playing their – I literally – it's like, well, hey, that's a walk in the park. And I watched that whole game, and Georgetown came out just shooting bricks. You could tell their legs were tired. Mm-hmm. And I think Creighton was up about 12-6. And then Georgetown overall, from the mid-first half to second half, went on a 40-8 run. So if you give up a 40-8 run and you're going to play a Santa Barbara team Chris, I know nothing about, I'm not going to they're probably playing better basketball than y'all are right now. So I'm going to pick, I don't think we see Creighton or Virginia. I'm going to pick the 12 and the 13, and one of them might win. But, I'm going 12 and 13, like Ohio against UC Santa Barbara.
What I do know about Santa Barbara, great campus. Visited it as a youngster. That's all I got for you. Okay, and I'm going to go Creighton in Virginia. I'm going stock locked and 2 smoking barrels. Okay, so Wichita and Drake both closed the season well. My Gophers, RIP, didn't beat Drake, by the way. USC is probably one of the stronger teams that made it, I'd say, or that probably is the strongest team that made it out of the Pac-12. But Wichita Drake is going to be a damn good game. Like I said, it seems like Wichita State ended pretty strong, hence them getting in here. But a lot of people like Wichita State here to not only beat Drake, but beat the Trojans as well. And then we'll go with I got Kansas. So actually, just to back it up, I have the Wichita Drake winner beating USC, and I have Kansas moving on.
I got Kansas winning, and I'm going to sound like a little bit of a hypocrite here just from the matchup, but Wichita State's offense is really, really bad. And I would love to pick Drake, but the thing with them was that their two best offensive scorers got hurt. And I believe it's up in the air as if they're going to be able to play. But if Drake has their two best players out and Wichita State's offense is bad, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Wichita State will be able to beat Drake in a low-scoring affair on Thursday night.
Right.
But I think USC wins just because Wichita State's offense is abysmal. So I will take a Pac-12 team here to win this first game, just because USC has a stud in Mobley, who's one of the best players in the country.
Yes.
Again,
All
USC,
too.
Yeah, the guy's a stud. So I will take a stud star against a team who really, Wichita State barely beat South Florida in a game where, like, Wichita State, they only scored one buck in the last, 7 minutes of the game. There's so many offensive depleted teams this year. I think we just lack a lot of great point guards that we normally get. So I'll shut up. I will take Kansas to win, and I think Kansas knocks out USC. So I'll take USC to beat whoever wins the play-in game, and I've got Kansas and USC both moving forward.
All right. So Iowa, I got Iowa going to the next round. In this VCU-Oregon game, no, Shaka's not there. Neither of them, actually, both of them only played one ranked team the whole year, and they both lost. I do like, though, the way VCU defends, and they can score pretty much right with them. This one, to me, seems like a really great first-round game. When I look around, Oregon was kind of – UCLA and Oregon seemed like they were the best team for a while, and then USC, to me, started taking over somewhat. Now, obviously, we'll see how strong they are. But I'm stuck on this one. I was going to go Oregon. I'm actually going to switch to VCU because I believe – and this is kind of a thing to think about. You don't want to just be picking a bunch of these first rounders just to throw stuff at the wall. But if you really truly believe that whoever wins the game, and in this situation, whoever wins the game is going to against Iowa, I think Iowa wins that game no matter what. That's just my opinion. And I'm just trying to say it as a technique that I've always used for quite some time. I'm willing to take a little minor risk, and I don't think it's really a risk right now because I did see VCU 2 or 3 times down the stretch. Long story short, I got Iowa and VCU in the round of 32.
Copy and paste. Good there.
All right. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water. I wasn't ready for that quick answer. All right.
Get out of your toes, brother. Come on now.
I got to unmute. I got to hold on.
Chris is like, oh, shit.
Yeah, he's going to go deep on Gonzaga. But
for
then
a guy that likes to talk.
Yeah, golly. I don't get me wrong. I love the
copy and paste.
Yeah, that was good, though. I like that. So we're going to go to the East just because what I'm looking at, it's set up that way. So I think you're just going to have to deal with it. St. Bonaventure. Now, this is all of a sudden, oh, dude, you got to watch out for this club, the St. Bonnies and all that. But I'm like, I do think one thing I know is, well, I shouldn't say this is going to be a crazy offensive game. LSU's involved, so they're going to score a lot of points. They put up like 82 a game. But St. Bonnie's can defend somewhat. Now, they are in a conference where in their non-conference, the non-conference is so weird this year that a lot of these teams didn't even get a chance at 1 or 2 against ranked teams. And I bring that up because St. Bonnie's didn't even face a ranked team at all. So it kind of sucks for them. It's hard to judge them, whereas at least LSU played against some solid teams. They only got 2 ranked team wins themselves. But I'm going to go Michigan and LSU in the round of 32.
I will agree. LSU actually finished the year pretty damn good. So I thought the 8 seed was a little bit of a slap in the face because the SEC overall was a pretty solid conference. Yeah, I will definitely, I'll copy that as well. I think LSU beat St. Bonnie. The only cool thing about St. Bonaventure was out of all the times I've been on my tournament trips, I know I don't normally go to the games, and I normally just go to sport bars, but the first one I ever went to, St. Bonaventure was there, and I think like their whole campus almost traveled. It was really cool. There's probably about like a couple hundred fans. They cheered the whole game, and they actually had a pretty good team that year. But I will take.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
I mean, this would have been probably like 7-8 years ago. They had they had a stud big.
Yeah.
They had a really good big that could you kind of like had a kind of like a KG, like a really like big and tall, but could shoot from anywhere.
Don't do that. Don't do that. KG didn't even play college. Don't do that. Okay. But you're right. It is a big, and it's at the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I will take LSU Tigers against Michigan for sure.
St. Bonnie is just fun to say too. First of all, before we go any further, big shots out to Georgetown for making that run, and Pat Ewing. He's trying to walk around the garden like he's not even a citizen of our country, and they keep asking him for an ID left and right. I saw that press conference. It was pretty funny. He's like, hey, you see that picture there? You see that picture there? My jersey's right there. Can I get a little respect around this place? But big shots out to Georgetown for making that run. I did not see that coming, and especially the way you described that ass whooping that they put on. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, no, I was just simply going to flow into the next round of picks. So I'm torn here because so many times a team that makes a deep run in their conference tournament when they're not expected is just out of juice. And so then you would say, well, hell, then Colorado's going to win. So I'm going to stick with my original rant, which says fade the Pac-12. And I hope that Georgetown has enough mojo left because they've been playing great ball. You just hope that their legs can regroup. So I'm going to take Georgetown to knock off Colorado just because I'm not impressed by them. And I think Leonard Hamilton will for sure win his first game of the tournament. And Florida State, I did not know this, Chris, was the best shooting three-point team in the ACC this year. Normally they're kind of like more of a defensive-based, rebounding athletic team. This year they can actually hit the three. So I will take the Hoyas and the Seminoles to advance for that game on the 20th.
I'm copy and paste with that one too. The difference this year, though, is you get some extra days. You do get a couple extra down days for these teams that have to go that 4-4. First of all, it wasn't a 5 nights like it was for Syracuse in UConn, right? But now it's 4, but they do get extra days before it kicks off. So, because they're not in a play-in game. So I think that actually does help to kind of decompress and just get in the ice tub or whatever. So I'm going to go Georgetown as well. That is my 5-12 as well for Florida State. I got Texas moving on against the Christian College there. This one's interesting to me. Some people think Michigan State, the way they closed, shouldn't be in a play-in. It is what it is for me. I don't mind where they're at. Michigan State, UCLA, BYU at 6. Should BYU be 6th? I guess we never talked about that. But who do you see coming out of there? I got Texas, and I'm going to go Michigan State. But, obviously we don't know. I'll just pick both of them because that's what you do right now on a Monday. But I got the 3-11 playing in the round of 32.
Yeah, I'm going to take Izzo just because I know that for most of the year they were a struggling team, but then they also beat Michigan and Ohio State like in the span of a week. So it's like, they beat Michigan and Illinois. So you beat 2 of the top 1 seeds in the tournament, like on a given day, like, dude, Sparty can like ball out. So I will definitely take them again, fade the Pac-12, take them to beat UCLA. And we have seen this happen ever since Shaka started with VCU. For whatever reason this is, the amount of confidence a team gets from winning the play-in game, I shouldn't say always, but it appears with my memory of college basketball that a lot of the times when a team wins the play-in game, they almost always win their next game just because that's such a massive advantage. You literally played 48 hours ago. You got
Mm-hmm.
momentum. The team who you're about to play can't really do a scouting report on you because, I mean, I guess you could say the BYU could scout or UCLA and Michigan State, but, it's hard to, normally you never scout two teams for
Right.
a coach. A coach is like, oh, guys, let's watch Michigan State film. Let's watch UCLA film. That's normally not how that world goes. So I will take Izzo to knock off BYU. And Texas, they've been a pretty good team all year, Chris. I think if you look at their win-loss record, a lot of their losses were by single digits. A lot of them probably within 5 to 6 or less. And I think they're a very talented team, so I do not see them getting upset. So I'm with you. I will take Sparty and Texas to advance.
H to the Izzo. Yes, I'm with you there. That's going to be an interesting matchup in the round of 32. I got Bama, and this one was, the 7 to 10, 8 to 9s, that can be weird anyway, right? Not weird, but tough to pick, closer match, obviously. But I literally this afternoon at lunch had UConn, but I snuck it to Maryland at the last second. I really don't know what to do here. I'm kind of confused. I'm going to go man, I'm literally deciding right now. F it, I'm going UConn. I got UConn just because of past. No, they actually did play better down the stretch. It's tough. I got UConn and Bama, though, the softies. Bama.
Bama is soft. Yes, thank you for remembering that. UConn's got the best player on the court in my boy Book Knight, who I've told you I've said that from day one this year, so that's not. I'm not copying him. I'm not retweeting. I love Book Knight. They got the best player on the court, and their offense is better. And in my opinion, they play better defense. With the Maryland team, who I've watched this year in games that I've wanted to enjoy, and I've seen this Maryland team go on spurts of 5 to 6 minute droughts of no offense. So I will definitely take UConn to win, and I think Bama rolls past Iona. But speaking of gambling for fun, Iona is a 17-point favorite, and I've called Bama soft all year. I got to take Rick Pitino and good old Slick Rick. So I think you got to look at maybe betting Iona, because if Bama could win by easily 15 or 16 points and still play really well. Because Bama's known for offense more than defense, I would say. So I think Iona can hang in there, and Patino's going to have a pretty good game plan. So, Bama just won the SEC, maybe a little bit tired, maybe a little bit cocky. So I think that Pitino and his team could at least cover or make the game interesting.
In recent years, my Minnesota Gophers should have made the father, the associate, really the head coach, just on the side.
Sure.
And I think that would have helped us this year. Because we needed him game planning for us like he did the year before when he didn't have a job. And so he's game planning for us. And, now he had his own freaking game to game plan. It kind of sucked, dude. It didn't work out for us. Okay, I got Baylor advancing. We are in the South now, where you are residing yourself in the Southland, Southwest to be exact. I got Baylor, which, that's Texas too. North Kakalaka and Wisconsin, just because I'm going to go Wisconsin, and I'm assuming you're going to go with your boys.
So, I got to pick my Tar Heels. The Tar Heels can't play defense, and Wisconsin can't score. So, it should be a close game. Carolina's like a 1-point favorite. I think they opened at 2, so it's close. But I just think that Carolina is I believe they're either top 5 or the best offensive rebounding team in the whole country.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
And again, I think next year Carolina is going to be really good. This year we're still learning how to play defense because Roy plays 4 freshmen a lot of the games. I think we're still too young to be a serious threat. But I think with the offensive rebounding and our improving of 3-point shooting, I just think that that's too much. And Wisconsin's a good defensive team, but not many teams in the Big Ten have like 3 to 4 solid bigs that literally just pound the boards over and over again. So I think Carolina is able to win that game. Probably be a little more high scoring because, again, Wisconsin will be able to score on us, but I'll definitely take the Tar Heels to advance.
And I'm going to make you happy, dude, because I'm going with this has worked all year. I'm going to go with the Badgers. And, if they win, I'm right. But if they're wrong, the Badgers lose and you win, dude. I think it's a
Perfect.
win.
Yeah.
I got Purdue over North Texas, but I'm eyeballing this Nova Winthrop game just because you know who, the point guard, is out, and Nova has not looked the same since.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, a lot of people have been talking about betting that. I think Villanova opened it as an 8-point favorite. Now they're down to 5.5. So clearly everyone's betting Winthrop out in Vegas.
And they could score too. Winthrop could
Yeah.
score and defend. Now they didn't face anyone in the top 25, so that's a little funky. But they hold folks at 67 and put up 80 points a game. So if they're on, they're on. They've only lost one game.
Yeah, I'll take Winthrop just because Villanova's been in a funk, and it's really hard to replace one of your better players in the conference and your senior point guard. So I will take Winthrop to win. And Purdue's been playing Purdue finished a really solid second half of the season too. So I'm with you. I will follow you there. Purdue and you were looking at that game, but I'm going to take Purdue and Winthrop.
I picked Purdue. I was looking at that Winthrop game, but I'm going to go Nova. Actually, I think pride will get them through that round. It may be grinded out, but then I just a preview. I'm picking Purdue over Nova. All right, Arkansas, who are like the original folks that made Alabama soft. The Hogs made the Crimson Tide. They rolled Tide on them in that game. Upset of the week that I called, by the way. I'm just bringing it up. Arkansas, Colgate. Colgate's not that bad. Plus, you got a clean mouth. That was really cheesy. Utah State's always been kind of lingering as a team that I've watched here and there. But I like Texas Tech over that. So I got the Hogs and the Red Raiders in the round of 32.
It seems like every game Texas Tech lost this year was super close. Like I just think they're a solid, good team because they seem to fight pretty hard, and they obviously had a 17-10 is a pretty good record too from the Big 12. So I'll copy you, Texas Tech there. And Arkansas, Colgate, I'll take Arkansas. They're probably the hottest team in the country over the past month. So, and that one for gambling, the over-under has gone up 9 points since the spread opened. So apparently everyone thinks it's going to be a track meet. So if you want to bet that over-under, I think it's up to like 163, which
that
is
makes
super
sense,
high.
Colgate averages 86. They may not be playing anybody, but they average 86 points.
Yeah, and just the reason I say it's because like normally, as you know, Chris, normally college basketball over-unders are anywhere from 130 to 140 ish. Yeah, that one's a 162. So that should be a really fun, high-scoring game in theory.
In theory, that is true. I think that'll come true. All right, Ohio State. We'll just clean out the South here. Ohio State, I got going against Oral Roberts. And I'm in between on this one. This is another one. Virginia Tech at times looked better than Florida this year. Florida's kind of up and down and all around. When they've played a good club, though, randomly, Virginia Tech, when I'm talking about not just good, but a top 25 team, they're randomly undefeated. Now, I know they had to shut down. That kind of made it funky. Long story short, I got Virginia Tech, the Hokies, against the Buckeyes.
I'm going to take Florida against Ohio State just because Florida's been a 50-50 team. There's been some games this year where they've gone neck and neck with the best teams in the SEC and some games where they've been trashed and lost to the poor SEC. So I'm just going to take them and hope they have a hot night. I just think Virginia Tech had a tough spot just because they almost had like 3 weeks off. And that's just, that's tough on rhythm. That's a team that probably should be a single-digit seed if they'd had a regular season because for what I've heard when people talk about them, they're a really talented team, but it's just hard to get momentum when you take like a 2.5 week off break near the end of your season. So I'm going to take the Gators, but that's a complete coin flip. I wouldn't bet that game or put much in it. I'm just flipping a quarter, hoping I see the good side of the Gators for that bet.
I like it. So I'm going with Illinois. We're now obviously in the Midwest. We will swoop back and get this round of 32 here in just a moment. And, of course, we will answer that question that my co-host Marshall asked last week. Illinois, I got moving on. Georgia Tech, Loyola Chicago. This is a funky one, dude. We obviously know they made a hell of a run not long ago. They can D the hell up. They're 55 points they're only giving up, and they still score over 70. Whereas Georgia Tech is like, come score with me. We'll give up 70 and we'll put up 75. Is it the hot team coming in with Georgia Tech feeling good, or are they going to be burnt out? This isn't a playing game, so they'll have the extra couple days to get off their feet. What says you about this one?
I wish that these teams were playing each other. I know we were talking before the show, and this is just one ranking system, but the Ken Palm ratings, which are widely known about, like people use that a lot for college basketball, had Loyola Chicago as the 10th best team in the country. So as we talked about, they did not have an impressive non-conference, but apparently to the eye of many stat people or computer people or sharps or analysts, like a lot of people think Loyola Chicago is a great team or an above average team. So why they're an 8 seed, I don't know. And then Georgia Tech just won the ACC tournament. So how are they a 9? It's kind of like the committee really wanted to screw over those teams, and then they kind of screwed over Illinois because Illinois is like, dude, why? How did we get the hardest 8-9 seed? Someone's got to get it, but why us?
Right.
Because Illinois has been probably the second hottest one team besides Gonzaga. So that was this whole bracket's wide open for a lot of craziness. I'm going to take Loyola Chicago just because I'm going to follow the rankings of people saying they're like a top 10 team in the country off numbers. I'm just going to follow that. But yeah, you're battling a team that just beat Florida State for the ACC titles. So that should be a really fun game to watch. I know normally, and I'm trying to not be repetitive here because a lot of times, obviously, people will say, hey, an 8-9 game is fun. Like, I'm trying not to be cliche, but I just think this is more of a loaded 8-9 match than we're used to, Chris. So definitely want to enjoy this one.
Yeah, and it's not just big name teams either, like Wisconsin or North Carolina. Not to say that's not going to be good, but there's one good.
Agreed.
Sneak up on people. And I'm going with Loyola as well. I feel like you're going to pick the 12th seed. I'm going to go with Tennessee and Oklahoma State to move on. Sorry, Oregon State and Liberty as well. Hey, Liberty's got a good football program, though, coming down the pipe.
Chris, I need your advice here because, I try to be a man of good morals. So
well, I don't know if you're going to want my advice. Then.
Well, let's not talk about my personal life. Okay, personal life aside, I'm taking Oklahoma State, and here's where I'm torn. Okay, so I've told my best friends, I said Tennessee will not win a game in the tournament. They're an automatic fade. They cannot win. And I've also said that fade every team in the Pac-12. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a rough one for you. And this is the team that snuck in through the crap. Right?
Yeah. And Tennessee has had some abysmal, hideous game. Tennessee has no business in hell.
Seed, they are a funky 5 seed. There's no doubt about it.
Literally Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech, I would bet to beat both. I think they would both beat Tennessee.
So Illinois has got a tougher route than Oklahoma State just to get there potentially. This is bullshit. They don't want the Big Ten to win. That's what it is, Marshall.
Bunch of haters. Because Tennessee's offense is a complete shit show. They're not good. So, and then you have Oregon State, who just won their conference tournament as a 100-1 underdog. Dear God. Okay, well, I said Tennessee won't win a game in the tournament. I'm going to stick to that. I'm just going to, I guess I'll have to take a Pac-12 team. So, it'll be the Beavers against Oklahoma State. So 2 orange teams fight against each other. Yeah.
There you go. I like it. And I'm going chalk on this one. I saw Syracuse, maybe not enough of them, probably just as much as San Diego State, if I'm being honest. I got West Virginia and San Diego State moving on to the round of 32, sir.
I will copy that. Let me ask you just a fun trivia question. Do you remember last time Morehead State was in the NCAA tournament and they had that Ken the Freed, who was that freak for the Nuggets? Do you remember who they upset the last time they made the tournament?
It was shit. Was it West Virginia? No.
No, but it was a school coached by Mr. Patino in his prior years.
Oh, it's Louisville.
Uh-huh.
That's right. Yep. I get it now. I remember now. Yep.
And I say that it's really weird, but like again, it's weird how people like us have the memory of sport moments. I remember watching that game, and Fareed hit a crazy shot. I remember screaming because it was a crazy game and upset.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "I'm trying to take a nap. What the hell are you doing?" So I remember waking up my mom, and this must have been 7 or 8 years ago. But yeah, Morehead State knocked off Louisville, and that was like I think Morehead State was probably a 13 seed that year too, or so they were for sure a double-digit seed that year. So, but yeah, I don't think the same thing happens this time. And again, just to give West Virginia credit, this team won 6 straight Big 12 road games this year, which not many teams in this whole bracket, Chris, have done that. So for a neutral site, dude, game on for Huggins there. So I'm with you, West Virginia and San Diego. And I'll lead this one just to wrap up our first 64. I think Houston definitely wins. I think that team plays good enough. I'm not completely sold on them offensively, but they'll definitely get past Cleveland State. And I'm just going to take Rutgers just because this game's a coin flip. Clemson, I've been told they play solid defense. They never really jumped out to me this year as being great. And Rutgers, at times this year in the Big Ten, was like could be viewed as like a top 4 Big Ten team. Maybe it's that 4th or 5th Big Ten team. And I think they're a little more tested. So I will take the Rutgers Scarlet Knights of New Jersey to play Houston.
I'm right there with you, based off probably Big Ten as well. Clemson early on looked good, and then, they kind of fell apart. Not that Rutgers always delivered, against the top 25 and whatnot, but you don't really need – it's not really a total top 25 deal when you're in the Big 12 or in the Big 10. Let's double back, round of 32. I'm going to start with the West. Gonzaga and Oklahoma, what says you, sir?
Well, I went with Gonzaga, Mizzou, but I think either way.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's fair. Either way, I think whether it's Oklahoma or Mizzou, I think if either of those seem to be Gonzaga, Twitter's gonna go crazy because Gonzaga is actually minus 250 to win their region, which is insane. Everyone else is plus or even, but nonetheless, I think Gonzaga beats Oklahoma or Mizzou pretty easily.
Yeah, I got Zaga moving on. And then in this matchup for me, Creighton, Virginia. I'm so stuck on this one. I really don't know what to do here. I don't know. I'm going to pass it to you and just be a chicken shit right now. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to help you out much because I picked the 12 and the 13.
Oh, this is the 12. I thought it was only one of them. That's right, the 12-12s. Well, that'll give me more time.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a second to think about as I break down 2 teams I've not seen play all year in UC Santa Barbara against Ohio. So I'm going to take the 12 seed in UC Santa Barbara. I believe they're the Gauchos. So I'm going to take the Gauchos to beat the Ohio Bobcats as a 12 seed. As a 12 seed, will then get murdered by Gonzaga.
And I'm going to go with Creighton to move on and potentially overachieve where we thought they were mid-season. Okay, Kansas and I have Wichita State or Drake. I'm going Wichita State. I have Kansas moving on, and I also have Iowa moving on over VCU.
I will take Iowa to beat VCU, and I'll go a little bit crazy on this side. I will. God, I can't pick Kansas. Yeah, I got to take USC. I will take USC to sneak through against Kansas, and I will take Iowa to knock off VCU. I did have Iowa being a Final Four team, and just because I felt if they could have a good matchup, but obviously when you pair them with Gonzaga, that really puts a dent in my Iowa making the Final Four pick. But for now, I think they do make it past the first weekend with you as well.
I got Michigan. I'm going chalk. Michigan and Florida State. Georgetown, great story. I got them winning a game, but they don't have Pat. They don't have Alonzo Mourning. They don't have Dikembe Mutombo. They don't have Iverson. They don't have so on and so forth. So I got them getting stuffed by the Seminoles. Sweet 16 matchup, Michigan and Florida State.
I will take Florida State to beat Georgetown, and I will take LSU to knock off Michigan since let's assume Livers is out. I got the first one seed going out. Michigan struggles without their core guy, their leader, and I will take Michigan to lose on, I believe that would be on a Monday.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's why I'm thinking he'll be back, but it's funky. We don't really know. He might not be back till the next round.
A stress fracture. That's one of those things where you can't really have a timetable. So, yeah.
No. They're going to just have to pump him full of cortisone. Okay, I got Texas moving on against H to the Izzo. How about you?
I got Shaka beating Sparty. Yes, sir.
And then I got I'm saying screw it. I'm running with your boy. I'm going UConn over the softies. I called
him soft all year. My boy James Booknight's going to upset Alabama.
Well, you didn't call them soft for about a few games when they're showing up. Then they proved their softness and said, hey, let's just, because remember you were talking about the program and how usually it's Nick Saban and all that. No, let's not forget about that part. I got Baylor beating whoever the hell you got over there. I'm assuming, Carolina. I got Baylor beating Wisconsin on my side, though.
If we're doing this for real picks, I would definitely pick Baylor to advance. But just for the sake of a podcast and there's not money on the line, I'm going to take Carolina to upset them. I don't think it'll happen, but I'm just going to pick my boys to do it just so I can say I'm right. I think Baylor would expose Carolina's defense, but I hope Carolina could find a way to upset Baylor. That'd be super fun. But I'll pick the Tar Heels to advance.
Well, and you're giving a full disclosure too, so this means something. Let's not act like these picks don't mean anything here, Marshall. But you're right. You're giving full disclosure that you're biased in the pick, just like I have done as well. Purdue is going to beat Nova without their point guard.
And I think Purdue beats Winthrop because I had Winthrop knocking off Nova. So I think it'll be a Purdue Baylor Sweet 16.
And I think Arkansas and Ohio State as well. I'm funky with that. That Texas Tech Arkansas game is going to be triple overtime, but I got Ohio State and Arkansas chalking it up.
I think Ohio State easily gets past Florida or Va-Tech, and this is a good game, dude. That might be one of the best games of Sunday. I will take. Oh man, Texas Tech always. Whoever's the underdog bet in that game. I will take Arkansas to knock off Texas Tech just barely, but that'll be a close game where the Texas Tech coach will lose his mind and probably get a tech. Just because that dude's that crazy. Yeah, I bet his players love that guy because he always seems to fight for him. But I will take Arkansas to play the Buckeyes like you.
I got the fight in the Illini with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Are we on the same page there, sir?
Yeah. The Illinois has been playing too good a ball. I think Loyola or Georgia Tech will make them fight and earn a Sweet 16 spot compared to a regular 8-9-1 game. But I think Illinois with DeSamu and Coburn, a close, a fun one, but still an advancement against Oak State. Yes, sir.
All right, and then I got Rutgers pulling an upset over Houston in West Virginia, grinding one down to about 90 seconds in the game and closing it out against San Diego State, who plays pretty good defense.
I think Houston survives the first week. I think that's as far as they go. So I'll take Houston and Bob Huggins to advance.
So we'll close this show on your question last week. Go ahead and re-ask it. How about that?
So I give you $100, and you can put the $100 on either Gonzaga or Baylor to win the title, or the other, I guess in theory, 66 teams to win the title. Would you put $100 on the 66 other teams, or take Baylor or Gonzaga to cut down the net?
If I could get a third team, I'd take the three teams, but I'm going the field.
And I'm with you too. I think Gonzaga has a very, very good chance of making it to the Final Four. Baylor's got a little more of a difficulty, but yeah, just for the odds and just that I don't think Baylor's quite found the rhythm they had prior to their COVID shutdown, I would take the field as well. And right now, I heard in Vegas it's minus 125 for Baylor Gonzaga. So the field is actually the underdog. That's how much people love Baylor Gonzaga. So I would take the field. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take Gonzaga. Yeah, I'm with you. I would join you on the field. I think that's a fun bet. Let me ask you this last part, then I'll follow up. If you could add one more team, let's say, okay, so you can get Gonzaga, Baylor, and a team of your choice. How many maybe I should say, how many more teams do you have to
Illinois.
add, Chris, to?
Oh.
Okay, so you would take
if you
those
add
three
Illinois,
against the
I
field?
would take it. Yeah.
Okay,
if you
fair
had
enough.
Baylor, Gonzaga, and Illinois, I'd take it.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, well.
You going to answer that question? Or are you just going to put me on the spot?
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would follow you there too. I think I would maybe, up until last week, I would maybe do Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, just because Michigan really impressed me this year. But again, having your best player with apparently a possibly severe injury is really tough to handicap them. But yeah, I would join you on that with Gonzaga, Baylor, and Illinois for kind of down the net. Yes, sir.
Or Oklahoma State, by the way. Maybe I should put that in there too. If you gave me Oklahoma, the winner of that game,
sure.
Then that kind of adds that too. I don't want to discount Oklahoma State because I think they got a chance to beat Illinois.
Yeah, and that's a pretty trendy pick. I know a lot of people are going with that, and they have arguably the best player in the whole tournament, in Cade Cunningham, who, and again, for the abysmal basketball I've watched this year where teams can't score for 5 to 6 minutes, I don't see Oklahoma State having that problem when you have a guy that can get a bucket probably, or at least get to the foul line at will. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that'd be a fun prop. And I just mentioned it because normally you never see Vegas do that. I've heard people on podcasts or over the years like say, hey, I'll let you pick 4 teams and I'll take the field, and then that's kind of a fun bet to do with friends, but I've never normally seen 2 teams or the field. So clearly everyone is believing in Gonzaga, but there's a long, long ways to go. And there was a year where Carolina was the strong number 1 seed and Ty Lawson got hurt. Next thing you know, they got bounced out the opening weekend. So it's hard to say.
All righty, why don't you close out the show there, sir?
All right, on that note, again, you have basketball to watch Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If you're ready to camp out and watch games on Thursday, you will get 4, but not quite your regular slate. So if you're a March Madness fan, wait till Friday and maybe call in sick on Monday because Monday there's going to be games all day too. So Chris and I will recap our picks. Hopefully the Pac-12 does not embarrass me and go 5-0 because I would have some explaining to do on this podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of this week. Fill your brackets out. Have some fun with those. Maybe and again, one piece of advice, and I'm sure Chris will back me here. You can't pick all the underdogs because I know sometimes people get a little bit crazy. You do have to pick some, but at the end of the day, normally chalk does advance. So if you're going to pick, I always have that one kind of crazy bracket, but don't go upset crazy with your bracket overall because it normally will bite you in the butt a little bit. Pick a couple, but don't go too crazy or else it seems to backfire in general because normally when you get to the Elite 8, it's a lot of small digit numbers. So just a little piece of advice there. But until then, mask up, enjoy the week of basketball. We appreciate the love and support. We'll be back next week. The boys are out. Peace.